We've got some interesting ones. Let me pull this back up. So we've got some interesting ones here. I almost thought about doing a gift special on this, but I didn't. The mood tracker as we head into week 8, and especially the mood tracker when we look nationally, starts in Athens, Georgia. And Georgia's mood tracker currently is Pursuit of Happiness, which is something that we're all trying to attain and achieve. But I am thinking about the movie, The Pursuit of Happiness. And I'm thinking specifically about when Will Smith is standing there with that terrible facial hair, and he's on the sidewalk, and I don't exactly remember what had happened in the movie, but he had been turned down for a job. And so the tears are rolling down the face, but at the same time, he realized, it's time to man up. And so he's got tears rolling down his face, but he kind of nods his head yes. And he says, all right, I know what I got to do. Let's go do it. That's exactly where Georgia is right now. Okay, you just got slapped across the face against Alabama again for like the millionth time in a row, and it hurts. It hurts bad. It hurts if you're Kirby Smart to step to the podium and say, they out-physicaled us on the line of scrimmage. You're not supposed to be saying that when you build a roster like they do, but that's what you said. But the point is, season's not over. You may see them again down the road. So like Will Smith, he eventually got another interview. He eventually became a quadrillionaire. You could still win a national championship this year. You could still win the SEC this year. You don't know what JT Daniels could look like. Sometimes you got to taste your own blood before you end up exceeding anyone's expectations and succeeding yourself. So that's where Georgia is right now. It's that pursuit of happiness. And there are varying phases of the pursuit of happiness. And they're in that little trough phase right now. But we'll see. We'll see how things turn out for Georgia. At Florida State, my mood tracker has them in processing error territory. This doesn't make any sense. Let me walk you through it. So I've got to believe that it was very difficult, to say the least, for FSU fans, alumni, former players, and the like, to watch the early season performances that you saw from this team. It's not easy to watch Georgia Tech come into your building and beat you only to get housed by Central Florida the next week. It's not easy to have to rally from a large deficit to beat Jacksonville State at home. It's not easy to watch Miami just have their way with you. That's not easy. But then all of a sudden North Carolina comes to town. And there's this little 5 next to North Carolina's name. And you beat them. And you get up 24-0 on them, and you hold on for the win. And so that's got to alone look like a processing error because it does not jive with what you had seen so far in the season. But this is really what I'm thinking about. What I'm thinking about with Florida State is what if you had just skipped the first part of the year and you turned on the last minute of that game and you looked and you saw what Florida State's record was, and then you saw you beat North Carolina, and then you're dumping the Powerade on the coach. And it's like if you were to just have traveled in time from like the mid-90s or the early 90s, and you arrive present day, you say, what has happened here? In what world are we dousing a coach with anything when we beat North Carolina? But yet on the other side, you're ecstatic because you know what's happened early this year, and all of a sudden now the same team that looked like abject flaming trash against Miami just got off the deck and beat a top 5 team. And that's no small thing, because when you lose the way Mike Norvell has so far in year 1 and your culture hasn't taken hold and the rooting system's not in place, you risk losing your locker room. So it's confirmation and validation for him, but it's also validation for FSU fans that maybe this is the right guy. I mean, obviously you can't lose a locker room and pull an upset like this. Maybe we're finally on our way now. And so you process that, and that feels good, but then you realize we got a long way to go, because when we're where we need to be, we're not pouring the Powerade for beating North Carolina. And that's no knock on North Carolina. That's just a testament to how successful Florida State was once upon a time. How about Notre Dame? Notre Dame is in a place that I like to call saltine life. I don't know how it is where you grew up, but where I grew up in Columbus, Georgia, and just north of there in Harris County, there are 2 things that people do even if they don't know why they're doing them. One thing they do is they put a Yeti cooler sticker on the back of their vehicle. And the second thing they do is they put a Salt Life sticker on the back of their vehicle. Now, half the people who have those stickers back there don't own a Yeti and couldn't even tell you what Salt Life is. That's just the lifestyle that you're choosing to live there. Well, that's not quite what Notre Dame's living. What they're living is saltine life. You've tasted saltines before. There's not much to them. You go to a barbecue joint, that's what you eat until the food gets there. But right now, this is what Notre Dame football is. It's kind of just saltini. There's not a whole lot of flavor to it. You kind of got what you got. You know, you got Ian Book barely throwing for over 100 yards against Louisville, and you watch Miami go up and down the field on Louisville. You can't hang 15 points on Louisville, but that's okay because you still win because you got a good defense, and you can do what you're supposed to against these teams. But, I mean, Lord help us when Clemson comes to town in a couple of weeks. What's it going to take to beat them? It's just there's nothing that pops right now about Notre Dame football. It's a solid program. I've got immense respect for Notre Dame. I defend them at every turn, but I don't even think we need to waste a whole lot of time talking about what needs to change here in order for them to ascend to the top tier. They're B tier right now. In fact, they're near the top of B tier. The roster they have, the roster Brian Kelly has built, is good enough to where even without a dynamic presence at quarterback, they're favored against 90% of the sport. That is a very good thing. That's not something to take for granted. However, you're used to that now. For better or for worse, you're used to that. And so you don't want more of that. You want to taste what's on the next level. And right now you got the saltine taste, and you want the barbecue taste. And to get the barbecue, you got to get an elite quarterback in there. We'll see. Tyler Buckner? We'll see. And last but not least, the Tennessee Volunteers. There was I thought, a very underrated Paula Cole song back in the 90s. I can't remember if this was the music video where she showed all her underarm hair, but the song was called Where Have All the Cowboys Gone? So just a little variation on that out of Knoxville would have to be Where Have All the QBs Gone? Where have they gone? This is the place that once produced us the likes of Peyton Manning. And now we got quarterbacks throwing multiple pick sixes against Kentucky only to be benched and see the backup throw a pick. And so then all of a sudden we're talking about maybe playing a true freshman that didn't even get to play early portions of the spring and had COVID. And where have all the QBs gone? And that's the big question as we wrap the show, kind of the same way we started the show. We're talking about this Saturday game they have against Alabama. Is Harrison Bailey the guy? I just need to know. That's a Tom Petty song, actually. So we got Paula Cole and Tom Petty. Stevie Nicks did a good cover in Chicago a few years back of I Need to Know. But I need to know about Harrison Bailey. I need, because if he's not the guy, then whatever we got to do, we got to do. Transfer route, steal someone's committed quarterback, whatever the case is. I got to get quarterback figured out at Tennessee. Got to get it figured out. So that's the mood tracker right now as we head into week 8 for various fan bases across the country.